Hey everybody, welcome back to Sound Check. I'm your host Brandon Delacruz, and we're here today with a very exciting band called Break and Enter. They're going to play a song for us called Burn, and we'll be right back with an interview. Hey everybody, welcome back to Sound Check. I'm here with Break and Enter, and we're going to talk to them a little bit about their music and what's going on with them. I'm here with Brock, Ashley, Aiden, Isaac, and Joe. Took me a minute there. Thanks for being here. So tell me about the band. Tell me about where it started for you. How did you guys start out?
Our band started at Belmont University in 2014 with 4 guys. Me and Isaac are the only original members still in the band. And then came back in around January of 2015. We added Ashley to the mix. That was the first time we were a 5-piece. And then going into our album release, we had some member changes, ended up with Aiden and Joe. And we're really happy with how that lineup turned out.
Awesome. And you recently had a milestone where you put out your first full-length record in January, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did that come together?
So our first full length was a really big process. Not a lot of people know, but writing an album takes a lot of time. We kind of were naive about it, and we thought we could do it quick, but it took a long time. But it was stressful, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. We love all the songs, I think. If anyone else wants to talk.
I guess like the thing that I was surprised by was how different it was to record the album versus the EP. When Brock and I a couple years ago recorded that, it was with our producer Trevor Hoffert. He was awesome, but it was a very like super quick process. And then this time we were like, okay, let's take a little more time, flesh out each song really well. We went and recorded drums at Ocean Way, and I love the way they sound, but it was a little different, but it was better, and hopefully that continues on for whatever we do next even. So
Did you just do drums at Ocean Way and then the rest at another?
yeah, we did 10 songs out of the 11 on the album at Ocean Way, and we actually literally just like ran out of time. So we did one track at CSA here in town, but it was kind of the outlier on the album anyway. So we kind of wanted a little different sound, and it worked well. And then everything like guitars, vocals, they were tracked just different places.
We tracked vocals, and this is kind of amazing. The vocals on the album were tracked in 4 different spots. I think 6 of the songs are in Isaac's basement. 3 of the songs are in our good friend Stephen Loveland's basement. 1071 is in Trevor Hoffert's car, and I think the intro track is in their house. So it's kind of amazing how like our producers managed to make me sound the same on like in completely different environments, because they're honestly very different. The processes work.
It's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle of tracking in Nashville, and it all just comes together to be awesome. Prior to joining the band, as an outside source and as a fan, it's light years improvement. How they used to sound, I haven't heard a Nashville band improve as much as they have, because when I listened to the full-length album, it's like, this is not the same band it used to be. There's no way I thought this was Brock. His vocals have just tremendously gone a long way.
How do you feel about that, Brock?
I feel great. I worked really hard. I really did. The entire summer of, I guess, 2016, I was at home. I worked night shift, and I just would get in my car on the way home and would practice screaming, and then would get up and drive somewhere and practice screaming. And I learned all these different techniques, and I just grinded and grinded and grinded. And then when I came back and I was finally able to like unveil them, the entire band was like, "What did you do? This is such an improvement." So it literally just takes practicing. Like, that's it. You put in the hours and you'll get better. So
Awesome.
This album was actually the first time I had ever recorded with a band. When I joined in 2016, it was the first band I had ever been in. So this was like a really cool experience, especially to do it with all my friends. And yeah, it was really interesting to like have each piece come together at different locations with different people and everything. So we had like Chris Baldani, Trevor Hoffert, Stephen Loveland, Tyler Wells, and Ben Mueller from Alice in the Attic. And we all just kind of came together and made this awesome piece of work that we're all proud of.
Great. Yeah. It sounds great. So you all did a great job. So Ashley and Joe, this is a question for both of you. When you're writing, I assume you both, first of all, I should back up. How do you write when you write songs? Do you write collectively? Do you write individually?
a lot of times we start, I will write a song like lyric wise, and I'll separate it into segments, and then I will give them segments, which is like, I think that's a really good way to write. We haven't really done writing any other way aside from like just getting together and jamming, and honestly our songs sound a little bit better when there's like forced structure. So putting ourselves like into a structure where we're like, okay, this is going to have this many measures or phrases, and then this one's going to have this many measures or phrases, and kind of blocking and piecing together, I think that keeps us all very like oriented and focused, but it's also a great way to write lyrics. It makes the vocalist job very easy.
For this album, like I said, it was my first time writing, recording with a band. But what was funny is that Brock would like come to us first. Like he came to us with the whole album basically written, and he wrote all the lyrics out on poster boards. And then Charlie and I would literally just get together and come up with riffs and lay them down. We did a lot of demos in Isaac's basement. And what's also funny is that we wrote all of Guillotine, which is a track on our new album, on the first day I joined the band. So sometimes it's like lightning in a bottle. Like you just like get going, it happens, it's done. But then there are tracks like Last Goodbye that literally didn't come together until the very end, you know. And so yeah, a lot of writing the album was guitars, like collaborating with Brock, and then Matt and Matt and Charlie really just kind of jammed and made it happen.
Okay, so then when you're writing these, to these lyrics, what makes a good riff? When you hear something and you think that's it, or how does that work? Because how do you know the difference, I guess, between something you keep and something you don't, something that's not quite there?
I just sit at my computer and like if I have an idea, or like if I'm not at my computer at the time, I'll do a voice recording into my phone and then play it back later so I can piece it together on my computer. But if I don't like it, I'll save it and shelve it, and then if I think of something later, I'll just go back to it and keep adding to it until I'm comfortable with it, basically.
A lot of the process too was we would take. I think a great example of this is our song, our title track, "The Call of the Void." We have this intro on it, which it's based around like 4 separate notes, and those 4 notes stay consistent throughout the song, and we write just different riffs around them, so it kind of like progresses and like gets bigger or smaller in those 4 notes. So I really liked writing that, I guess, or watching them write that, because it was very unique of like, oh, we're literally just breaking this riff down to its core and then building it back up and breaking it down again. It was really fun. Like, so I think that's also a process that we do a lot.
What was really fun was going into the process, like with Brock's lyrics, and then he'd be like, okay, so in this part I kind of have this like melody in my head, like da na 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 na, and he'd like sing a riff out, and it would make us laugh. Like, it was awesome. But then like our interpretation of what he imagined is kind of what happened. Like, he helped us write a lot of the music too, which is really interesting. So
One of the things I like about Break and Enter is we're not afraid to tell each other when a part sucks. So if Joe comes to us with stuff that we love or we hate, we'll tell him, and there's never any like, oh man, you said my song sucks. It's always like very constructive. If I'm playing a drum part that's too boring, somebody will be like, dude, do more. Like, it's super cool that way. And for future writings, I hope that's how it always is, because there's so much constructive stuff that comes out of that. So.
Yeah, it's good to be able to talk through those things as opposed to just getting hurt and like shutting down or whatever it is. But I want to talk about some of the choices that you made on this album, like artistically and in terms of your sound. What stuck out to me, first of all, you mentioned Stephen Loveland, and there's a track that he's on the record. I believe it's called Sticks and Stones. Yep. So that's also a song, not only that you bring him on, but he's also an addition. Like, he brings a new element to it. He sings, like he has a melodic aspect to it. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that came together? Like, how did he end up on that song?
Yeah. So originally I wrote Sticks and Stones. It is my crown jewel. Like my crown jewel. It's my favorite thing I've ever written. But Sticks started with me wanting to write a song. I was very charged after. A lot of times what happens is I get angry at something and then I write. So I got very charged after an incident at Belmont that happened. I don't want to go like too deep into it, but it was like some like blatant like discrimination against homosexuality that I was very annoyed with. And so I wrote that song kind of after that about like depression and also like becoming who you are and being safe in that. And I wrote it in conjunction. I had several different members of Belmont's team, the Bridge Builders, actually look at the song and tell me like, okay, I don't think you should have this here because that could like trigger someone, or maybe this is worded better this way. So getting that kind of advice and also that look into someone who's like me, I felt uneducated. Instead of trying to act like I knew something, I went to them. And then Stephen was obviously like the choice, because the song is such like everything that he's written for Elmira is so close to in line with what Styx is. So when we picked Stephen for that part, he kind of sat down with me and said, I wouldn't say this, I would say this. And so we kind of rewrote the chorus a little bit. I'm really happy with how it came out. But Stephen also, the moment I sent him the lyrics, he sent back, oh my gosh, I want this song. I want it to be mine. Like, I have to be on this song. It is so me. And I was just like, I felt so excited, because having another musician who wants the part instead of being like, yeah, I'll do it, like, it meant the world to him to be on it. And I'm really grateful that he is the one that's on it. So.
Yeah, that's really great. I didn't expect there to have been so much revision going on, but
it was a lot for Styx.
It's interesting that you did take that out to somebody else with that kind of an experience. Are you going to do more of that? Are you going to do more collaborations with others in the future? Or?
So when we've been writing some new stuff, just kind of like skeleton wise, or just like doing lyrics, and I actually sat down with every member aside from Joe currently, and we have hashed out a song. lyrically.
You
So
want to do it now?
I could, yeah. But yeah, so we've hashed out a song lyrically, and it's been really nice to do that. Aiden should talk about that a little bit too, because we hashed out a song together.
Yes, we've learned that we've got very different writing styles, and the fact that, and that there's so much work that goes into lyrics, and that what you may write and goes through your head and you think you're capable of doing is not the same as the person next to you. So basically, we picked each other's brains, and it came together as a love child, basically, of both our ideas into together. Nothing set in stone.
I think what you're trying to say is, for example, I would sit down with Isaac, and Isaac would have nothing. Like, he'd sit down and be like, I don't know what we're going to write about. And so then I'd be like, what about this direction? What about this direction? And once I got him going, he had some great ideas. Whereas with Aiden would send me like paragraphs of stuff that he felt. And I was like, this is just, we got to unpack this, and I got to be with you to unpack this. So, and like with Ashley, she sent me like little blips of stuff here and there. So it was very much like a learning process for all of us, because I know that one of the big things after the album was everyone was like, I want to write some lyrics. I want to contribute to what we're saying. So doing that together as a band is really fun. And I wish more bands would do it.
Yeah, me too. It sounds great. What's it like being in a hardcore band in Nashville? I mean, I'm sure you all have a lot to say about that.
There's actually way more of us than you think. Going
Okay.
in when I had my first band, I didn't know if there were any other like people in Nashville doing it, but we got quite a bit of a local scene going on.
Being in two different communities here in Atlanta, I've noticed that the Nashville scene, the music and the bands, it's such a tight community. Everyone actually is pushing each other forward, and you can't view the other bands in the town as a competition. They're all friends. They're all people you want to play with. And I think even if we just put on a bill that's just a whole bunch of local bands, it's still, we all look really forward to it because we know the other bands in the scene, and we love playing with them. They're great people and they're great musicians. So,
Like, we've played for crowds that have been like 200 people, and those crowds have been dead, or like some of them enjoy it. Like, and then this last Saturday, we played for probably 25 people at a local show with some other local bands, and it was the most fun I've had in a while playing. And that was just because everyone in the crowd was singing back and were really supportive of us, and it was very vice versa for us too. Like when, you know, Dust Before Dawn and Our Last Trial played, it was very fun for us to be kind of there and sharing that experience, to play with them. It's kind of like building a family, and you feel proud of your friends as opposed to being like, oh, they were so good, we have to get better. It's more like, oh my gosh, they were so great, I'm so happy for them. I think that's a mentality that if you don't have that in the Nashville scene, you're not going to go anywhere.
and the whole thing about bringing Joe into the band is, you know, he's in a Murfreesboro band called Dust Before Dawn. It's kind of like a marriage, you know, where you alliance between two countries.
Oh,
We're
political,
linking-
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
We're linking the Nashville
So
scene
now
and
you have
Murfreesboro
access to
scene.
Murfreesboro, right?
Exactly.
Okay, got
So-
you. No, so do you feel like there's enough opportunity for you here? Do you feel, has there been any instances where you felt like people haven't maybe taken you seriously or haven't given you the kind of recognition that they would give to another band here in Nashville?
Well, you know, sometimes, well, one, I guess, like being a newer band in Nashville, there are a lot of like locals that have been around for a long time. So for a while, it was playing the same show, like having the opening spot, being the opening band, because just there's so many bands that have history in the scene, and that's a little frustrating. But you know, once you like, you know, find your people and you know, get your foot in the door, then there are a lot of opportunities for new bands, the old bands, everything. So this is a really good upcoming metal scene. But being taken seriously sometimes, like as a girl, like I'll walk up, like I'll come to a show early or something, and someone will be like, oh, like, do you need help like getting the merch, like assuming that like I'm the merch girl, or like taking photos. And like we played a show in Arkansas about a month ago, and when we showed up, he was like guitar, vocals, bass, girlfriend.
Oh,
And so I mean, like sometimes yeah, it's funny to me that like it's still like a thing that people don't expect. But there are a lot of like females that are rocking out now. It's becoming more common, which is super cool.
My favorite thing is people will be like, "Wow, you guys are actually really good," and we're like, "Oh yeah, that girl rocks. You guys are actually really good." And I'm just like, you didn't take us seriously beforehand because we had a girl in our band. Like that it gives us the like energy to be like, well, like here we go, like see us next time or something. You know, it's very driving. It makes us have purpose in the scene, I think.
I think musically too, coming out with this album has helped us a lot because the EP, it was fine, but we've changed so much and developed, as we've said, and that in itself has kind of spoken for us in terms of here's what we've been doing, here's how far we've come. Hopefully we can continue that trend, but that's kind of helped people get on a level of, okay, these guys are going for it, you know, they're doing their thing and they're good at it. So
Following on you've just released your first album. What's the thing that you want people to take away from it, or the thing that you hope that they pick up on when they listen to it?
Well, I think the current lineup right now is a very committed team that expects to, we're going to drive the band as far as we possibly can. We're going to push ourselves to the limits. And that's essentially when all the members were asked, like, how dedicated are you? We're very dedicated, and we're going to push this as much as we can. And if that means, eventually breaking out of the Nashville scene, we're trying to work up to it. We're going to take things one step at a time and also be realistic about it at the same time.
what Aiden says is, like, obviously that's true. We all feel that way. But at the same time, there's also an element of, like, grounding yourself as a musician and being like, we do this because it's fun. We do it because we're all friends. We have tons of fun on stage. Like, every time we get done with a set or mid-set, I can, like, look at Brock and there's always, like, headbanging going on and stuff like that. And it's so much fun. And that's one thing that I feel like if you forget about, then you're on a very slippery slope to not be good or not continue your career or whatever you may call it.
That's a lesson that we just went through. I think a lot of us were like, when you release an album, there's certain expectations you have, and I would be lying if I said that we met the expectations that we had for it. And I think all of us were very stressed, and we were like, we need to be doing this. We need to be doing this. Why aren't we making these moves? Why aren't we going out and finding these things that honestly kind of seem superfluous? Because all of us got pretty bitter with each other, and there was a lot of like infighting when we would talk about like what direction we're going to go in next, because everyone had very specific ideas. And then I think we just needed to play a show, because after we played the show, then it was like, okay, we do this because it's really fun to play heavy music with your friends. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a huge like grounding moment where we were all like, I don't care if one person buys our record, as long as we are making the music, it's really fun. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I can tell clearly that you're all very opinionated but also very perceptive, and I think I mean that as a compliment, and I also mean it as kind of a warning, because I've been in that situation where everybody is very eager to have a say and have an opinion about something in the future or something that you're going towards. And really, my experience has been that you can definitely have those conversations and have that, but ultimately what you need to do is just do it and let go of like whatever your expectations are for it, and enjoy it, like you were saying. So just to wrap things up, where can people find you online? Like, what are your social medias?
You can find us anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We have Spotify, Apple Music. You can buy the record on iTunes, Bandcamp. We're not on SoundCloud, but we do.
Why not?
We aren't rappers.
Yeah.
Why
we don't
not?
really fit that, like, yeah.
We realized if we say check out our SoundCloud, no one would like us.
But seriously, like, we're on all the social medias. It's just Breaking Enter TN, and yeah, you can get the record online, most of the streaming platforms and music stores. But also, we actually have physical CDs now. So if you come out to a show, they're usually $10.
Great, awesome. Well, thank you for being here. You're gonna do another song for us, Last Goodbye, right?
Yeah.
So check them out, please. Break and Enter. Thanks for being here again, and we'll catch you around.
Cool.
Have gone by, yet these trophies lay at your feet. I'll be waiting here until you see what I see. They said we should be brave and true, but we never did a thing for you. We pledge our best to do or die, absent for your last goodbye. This is your last goodbye. I never wanted it to end. My business is your last goodbye. I never wanted it to end. My business is your last goodbye. This is your last goodbye. This is your last goodbye. This is your last goodbye.
Awesome. That was really great, Ashley. Thanks for being here. Rock.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Break and Enter, everybody. That was really great. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here as always. Oh, hey. And we'll see you next time, and make sure you keep listening outside the lines.
It was great job.